right? I mean, right now the Bills are not necessarily carrying the record, let's call it, that we might have thought that they would have at this point in the season. But at the same time, it's not like they're a bad team. We know that they can go out there and win. We know that they can go out there and beat people down sometimes. And then sometimes they also have trouble winning close games. They've done it at certain points. They did it against Baltimore. But then you play a game like yesterday, and when it comes down to those critical moments, you just don't get it done. I guess I would say this one thing about Ken Dorsey. He didn't make the decision to go forward on 4th and 2, right? There in the fourth quarter where they don't get it, and then that makes a big difference in the game. He didn't make that choice. So, I mean, he chose to play, but that's something that does fall on Sean McDermott in the game management aspect of it. So there's plenty of blame to go around.
But see, and this is another reason why I am pro offensive head coach. And Joe Davis or Moose Johnston made this point yesterday. When you're the head coach and you're the offensive play caller, when you're making the decision to go or not go, you also know intimately what your options are for that play.
But if you're the head coach, you got to know that anyway. Well, if you're, I mean, and Mike Tomlin has said stuff about this before, where
I think the coordinator's in a better position. The coordinator's in a better position. Not that it worked for the Vikings. I mean, hey, the Vikings had multiple cracks inside the two. It just added to the excitement. I mean, it's not like O'Connell was cashing in with those plays he dialed up in key moments yesterday. But I think that when you're in that, hey, Nathaniel, the clock is ticking moment, and you got to decide, do I go for it?
Stray?
And what it's not a stray. Do I go for it, and what play am I going to call? Do I go for it, and what play am I going to call? That's the key, and that's one of the reasons why good coaches push back against the obsession with analytics. I've noticed that the obsession with analytics is subsiding a little bit. Practicality has come into play, and one of the things about it is, hey, okay, the stats say I should go for it here. Well, how do I feel about my remaining short yardage options? What's my first option? What's my second? What's my third? Dare I go back and use a play that I've already used, whether it worked or whether it didn't work? There is this weird fear of using play. Oh, we can't use a play again. Why can't you play again? Why? If it worked, why aren't you using it again? We use it again. Use it until they stop it. But, that's part of the analysis. What do I have in this moment that I'm going to use to try to get me whatever it is that I need? So the Bills liked their play enough for Sean McDermott to say go for it instead of kicking the field goal. And they probably did the math, and 30-17, and we could, assuming Greg Joseph makes his extra points, we could lose this game 31-30. So I understand it, and you got to be aggressive. You got to be aggressive. You got to be aggressive. And one last point, and this gets back to the preseason expectations. Hey, Myles, this team's 6-3 now. They are no longer the top seed in the conference. They are no longer first place in their division. They are now technically in third place in the AFC East. If they don't live up to or don't come close to living up to the expectations that were in place for them before the season, that's when people have to start worrying about their jobs. That's when you may get the John Elway politely asking John Fox to pack up his stuff and leave a year after going to the Super Bowl, because you come to the conclusion that we've got this great team and maybe we need somebody else to push us over the top. And that's what I talk about when I say that the expectations and the pressure. It just right. It look, these guys are human. At a certain point, they feel it, and it affects them, and it makes them do things that maybe they wouldn't have done. And maybe this, we got to reestablish ourselves. We got to be aggressive. We got to deliver the dagger to this Rasputin team that won't die. This is our chance. Whatever. It just adds to it and enhances the moment, and it contributed to the game of the year, game of the decade, and/or game of the century. All due respect to other games that probably were better, but I love being a prisoner of the moment. Why not be? If you're going to be a prisoner of anything, why not be a prisoner of the moment? That would be the easiest thing. If you're going to be a prisoner of the moment would probably be the best.
Okay, yeah, for sure. I guess, yeah. I don't even know where to go with that, other than to say that I think if you're the Bills, you are still okay. All right. Everything is still pretty much in front of you.
Absolutely.
Now, if the Kansas City Chiefs are in a great spot too right now, because as Andy Reid said after the game, look, they control their own outcome in the AFC. If they keep winning, then nobody else is going to be able to catch them because they're the only team with 2 losses. So they have to be able to do that. And then, all roads go through Kansas City once again, and we all get to eat barbecue, and it's really fun. But at the same time, if you're the Bills, you just have to be, just calm about the whole thing. You say, all right, look, we've been through bad stuff before. We've lost games before. We have to have faith in the talent and the gumption and whatever else you want to call it that is already in this room. We have everything we need right here. And we can solve every single problem with all the guys who are already here. There's nothing else that we need to do. Block out the noise. You're going to be all right, Buffalo Bills, but you just can't let this team beat you twice. All right. You cannot let this loss linger. Put it away. It's gone. It's over. You played well. You had a valiant effort. It just didn't work out. Let's move on. It's over. Let's go. Cancel check. We got to keep it moving because that's the only way that this is actually going to work. But that's the problem. And this goes back to basically what you're saying, right? The more you have games like this, the more maybe doubt starts to creep in the back of your mind. But if doubt's starting to creep in, you punch that thing out. You whack that mole. It's got to go away. You just have to keep moving.
But that's the other side of it. You win a game like yesterday and you come away thinking, maybe this is our year. You lose a game like yesterday and you come away thinking, maybe this isn't our year. Again, for the Bills. They got the Browns next week. Then they go to Detroit.
That's all right.
We will see.
There's a get-right game.
We will see. We will see the Bills on Thanksgiving, just 10 days from now, at Detroit to start the day. The following Thursday night, we will see them at New England. Then they have the Jets. Then they have the Dolphins. Then they're at Chicago, at Cincinnati, and they finish the season with the Patriots. They got some tough games coming up. 2 against the Patriots, 1 against the Dolphins, 1 against the Jets.
Chicago's sneaky tough.
Chicago will give you everything they can handle. That's the thing. You look around the league right now, there aren't many teams you can point to and say, that team's going to lay down. That team just doesn't have it.
I can name a couple.
Well, are you going to say who would you name? We need to take a break, but I'm curious. Are you anti-Browns? Are you trying to will the Browns into contention by being extremely negative?
Oh, no.
Have you learned that from me?
No. I was going to say the Raiders.
Oh, well, the Raiders. That's true. Well, that's true. We'll talk about them coming up. That's true. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.